In this episode of the Read Option Podcast, we're talking about some new contracts around the NFL. We're also talking about how the teams in the NFC West can become Super Bowl contenders. And we have a segment called Where Did He Go to College? NFL Edition. Enjoy.
Dalton steps up. It's complete. Remarkable.
Cut back outside right 30, 35, 40. Down the far sideline. He's still moving. It's going to go.
Pass is caught. Diggs. Sideline. Touchdown. Unbelievable.
13th episode finally here.
Lucky 13.
Lucky 13. Wait, I thought it was Lucky 7.
Unlucky 13.
Yeah, there we go. We had 12 last week. We got 13 this week.
I was trying to switch it around. 13's an unlucky number.
Oh, it was an unlucky.
Yeah.
I see.
It's lucky 13.
I overheard a little bit. Pretty shitty day for you. I'm assuming. Yeah, not great at work.
Yeah, and that was a lot of wild and crazy stuff going on.
Yeah, yeah.
Now we're settling into the podcast. It should be cool.
Yeah, it should be
so,
chill.
Yeah, this is kind of what I worked on all day. Not all day, but
most of the
part
morning.
of the day. Yep. And so this is going to be a fun
Excited
episode.
to finally get into this. Yeah,
agreed.
Better than what you had to deal with at work. I'm assuming.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I have strep. I'm not contagious anymore because I'm on my second. Yeah, yep.
I don't.
No, you don't. Hopefully. I don't know how no one got it. Thankfully, nobody got sick because I was told.
Not yet.
No, because I'm not contagious anymore.
Oh.
Once you're on antibiotics for 24 to 48 hours, you're no longer contagious.
Amen.
But they told me on Thursday it was just a virus, and I went to the bar all weekend. And I was just hanging out with people. I'm so glad nobody got sick. If anyone says they have strep, I'm going to be like, it wasn't me.
It wasn't me.
Yeah, it wasn't me. And so I got to work from home for half the day, and then I went to Poughkeepsie to shoot with shoot for
Are you starting to feel better at least, or no?
Oh, I feel amazing. Like I feel fine. I don't feel like I have strep at all.
All right. That's good.
Yeah. So today was actually a pretty nice day because I got to do the first half of the day at home, and then the second half of the day I went out for a shoot, but then came right home after because it was done. We were done after the shoot.
Nice.
So it was a pretty decent day.
And I think after Monday, spring has finally sprung around here. It's supposed to be in the 70s all week long. So
don't jinx it.
Shush.
Yeah. All right, let's jump right into some football talk.
Yeah.
Football talk, one of the biggest things happening right now. 2 contracts. I didn't actually have this in my notes, but Antoine Whitfield Jr. got a huge contract. I don't remember the numbers, but he got a major contract. I think he's the highest defensive player paid of all time.
Holy crap.
I know. Don't quote me on it, but I'm pretty sure that's true.
Well, you just threw me an audible right there.
I
You
know.
just called an audible because I didn't have that anywhere in my notes.
Yeah, but the big one really is Jared Goff. 4 years, $212 million contract, $170 million guaranteed.
170 guaranteed.
I mean, at this point, like CJ Stroud's going to get $1 billion.
Oh my gosh.
Right? Like
yeah.
there's only these contracts just keep getting crazier.
Yeah.
He's the second highest paid quarterback by year. Only the first number one is Joe Burrow. So he's only second to Joe Burrow in the entire league year by year. And that's just crazy. I mean, he's good enough to warrant a great contract, but he also doesn't have a reputation of like winning 3 or 4 Super Bowls like Pat Mahomes does. You know what Pat Mahomes is in that list?
Probably like 5th or 6th.
9th.
Okay.
He's taking the Tom Brady route. Tom Brady always top 10, but never top 3.
But at the time he signed the contract, it was like almost $500 million.
Yeah, but if you go year by year, I'm saying.
Sure.
Because it's strung out for 10 years.
Yeah, his grandchildren are going to be getting paid on that contract because it was like a 79-year contract.
Yeah. So
whatever it was.
So that's the Chiefs kind of like loophole that they figured out is if they sign these players for like 10-year contracts, they can pay them absurd amounts of money and bank on the fact that they're going to win them a Super Bowl, and they won them 3 so far.
Sure.
So they're making their money back, it seems like.
Sure. So let me just get into, you guys know I love the stats. Let me just get into this a little bit. And at first I was like, oh man, that's a huge contract. And it is. You're talking almost $53 million a year or whatever it comes out to.
Yeah.
But last year, 4,600 yards, 30 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. So
I think he might have been second in the league in yards, right?
Yeah, so
Only
that was
to
a
Tua.
great season considering that last year there weren't a whole lot of stud quarterback seasons,
No,
right?
Yeah.
So he's been in the league for 8 years. He has had over 4,400 yards passing 4 of those years, 2 with the Rams and 2 with the Lions.
So half his career.
So 4,400 yards. I mean, I'm sorry. I'd take that every year, all day, every day.
Yep.
28 touchdown passes or more 4 of those years as well. And he's just going to be turning 30 years old, okay? 5 years with the Rams, he was 0-7 after his rookie season, okay? And we know, I think that was the year that we dominated them. But he has gone 42-20 in his career after that.
Yeah.
That's a 660-something winning percentage.
That's good, yeah.
As we know, it is very difficult and almost impossible in the NFL to win without a stud quarterback. And I think it's about time we start putting Goff in the category of a stud quarterback.
He is.
4,400 yards, 28 touchdowns. And let's face it, he had a rough season his first year with Detroit. But the next year, 9-7, lost on the tiebreaker to the playoffs to the Seahawks because they lost 41-37 that game or whatever.
Yeah, great
and
game.
then last year, he is arguably going to take his second team to the Super Bowl next year.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking Detroit has figured out that they need a stud quarterback because they have so many good pieces around him. They can't play with a Geno Smith. They can't play with an average quarterback. They need a guy in there that's going to get the job done.
Yeah.
And I really think that at first I looked at it, I said, that's a lot of money. And then I thought, this guy could take him to the Super Bowl next year.
Yeah, absolutely.
And be part of why they made the Super Bowl.
Yeah, not just like
not just
Jimmy Garoppolo.
That's
or
right.
something
Not
like
just
that.
riding his defense and having a great running game. He could very well throw for 4,600 yards next year and bring him to. He was one half away from going to the Super Bowl. One bad coaching
decision
half and one bad. He did not have the best second half, but they didn't really let him throw the ball.
Yeah.
He was 30 minutes away from going to the Super Bowl last year.
Yeah,
and
it's
I
true.
think they're looking like, okay, we let one go there. We are coming to town this year.
Yeah. He was like basically sent to Detroit to die.
Yeah.
Like, we don't want this guy. There were people saying like, all right, he's got 2 years and then we can finally cut him.
That's right.
You know, and now he's a top 10 quarterback,
Absolutely.
arguably a top 7 quarterback.
Absolutely. And let's not forget, he went like 794,000 passes in a row without an interception.
He did. He was like third all time for passes without an interception.
And you expect that out of guys like Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
But, oh man.
Not out of guys like, you don't expect it out of guys like Jared Goff until he does it. And then you realize, oh, this guy's actually like really good.
Yeah.
That was kind of the beginning of oh, wow, Jared Goff's actually a good quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
That stat line was like, oh, wow, he is solid.
But
and
the
then
Rams,
after that, now people are like, wow, Jared Goff is good.
If people that were not in the know were to look at his stats and kind of watch him play a little bit, they'd be like, bam.
Yeah.
This guy's pretty damn good.
And now he's finally got what he lacked with the Rams, which is confidence.
He's got confidence. That's right.
Confidence is the biggest thing because he's clearly always had the talent. Just the confidence was the key component as to why he was not successful.
Agreed.
Especially in the Super Bowl.
And on top of that, so not only the confidence in himself, but the confidence from the coach.
Yeah.
If you remember, McVay ran him out of he ran him out of the Rams.
LA,
he ran him out of LA.
Yeah.
Did not like him, did not like his approach. And then Campbell took him under his wing and basically molded him into a freaking stud quarterback, in my opinion.
Which is great. I love the Jared Goff comeback story.
I agree.
Especially since he's not in division anymore.
Amen to that. Well, yeah, we're still going to have to play him, seems like every year.
Yeah. But that's a fun little rivalry we got with them now. Because when Stafford was there, we didn't really have a rivalry.
We dominated them.
Yeah, but now we beat them twice in 2 years. But those were good games.
Yeah,
those were awesome games.
For all those games.
Those were really fun games. And I thought we were going to get smoked by them this past year, and we still beat them.
I did too, because we lost to the Rams like 192-0 in the opening game. And then I'm like,
and Detroit's good. And
yeah,
we're like,
and Detroit smoked the Chiefs opening night.
They did.
And I put the house on Detroit. Did not win that game.
Did not win that one. Speaking of stud quarterbacks, Tom Brady is my favorite quarterback of all time. He is making his broadcast debut, I believe, in the Dallas Cleveland game.
Dallas Cleveland, yes.
So I'm really excited to see this because I want to see like his perspective on the game. I think personally he's going to be very similar to like a Tony Romo type of announcer. He's going to bring a lot of value to the let's say the viewers that don't really know football that well, and he's basically going to break down the game for people that don't understand it. Maybe people that do understand it but want to learn more about like formations or like what's going to happen next and how to read a defense and stuff, as much as he can in the small amount of time that you give him to call a play or whatever. But he's not going to be like a Troy Aikman, where Aikman was a professional quarterback and won a few Super Bowls, but I personally don't think he really brings like a Tony Romo perspective to announcing. He's kind of meh in my opinion. Romo's really good, and I think Tom Brady, I've seen him on podcasts before. He clearly can speak. He's not going to be like Jason Witten. Like he can fluently bring his ideas to fruition, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
So he's replacing Greg Olsen,
who was a good announcer.
I have that in my notes, who I liked as an announcer. So it remains to be seen, in my opinion, if Tom Brady's intimate knowledge of the game translates into good announcing.
True.
Right? Because Witten clearly was a very knowledgeable player. There are plenty of knowledgeable players or knowledgeable announcers that played the game that don't translate because either they don't have a charisma, they're not funny, they're really dry, and I think that's what Witten was. He didn't translate well,
and Witten almost seemed like nervous. Like he seemed like he was scared to be talking on live broadcasts.
So another thing I was thinking is that Tom Brady, probably out of any player that I can think of ever, was a polarizing player. You either loved him or you hated him. And I have a suspicion that there's going to be a segment of listeners that are never going to allow him to develop, even if he's one of the best announcers ever. I have a feeling that
they'll write him off anyway.
Jets fans are going to hate him from the time he opens his mouth. It doesn't matter how good he is. Buffalo fans will probably hate him. Giants fans are going to mock him because they got a 2-0 against them, right? So I'm wondering if part of the country doesn't give him an opportunity to kind of grow and develop as an announcer, right?
That's fair.
So he's obviously super knowledgeable. I agree with you. I think ultimately he'll be good. He's got a good sense of humor. He's a little bit more wry than Tony Romo. Tony Romo sometimes can come across a little goofy.
Yeah.
And some people may not care for that because you got Jim Nantz and you got Tony Romo. Jim Nantz, the consummate play-by-play guy, right? And then you have Romo, who's supposed to be the color guy. I don't know if they call it color guy anymore. It's the analyst.
Yeah.
Clearly, Tom Brady is going to be a top one analyst of all time. Is he able to translate that into something effective? And knowing the little bit I know about Tom Brady, who is a perfectionist in just about everything that he's going to
want to do a good job.
He's going to want to do a great job, and he's got a good enough sense of humor. And I've seen him speak public engagements. They had the roast on him a couple nights ago.
Oh, man.
And he brought some zingers himself.
Yeah.
I think he will more than hold his own. And I think if people keep their mind open to the fact it's Tom Brady, I think he'll ultimately be good. That's my take on the whole thing.
I agree. I'm excited to see what happens.
I think so too. And I think he's about as he is as knowledgeable, and I'm sure even more so, than Tony Romo.
Yeah, absolutely.
So if you thought Romo was calling plays, Tom Brady's calling formations before the play.
Yeah, right. All right, let's move on. One of the big, let's say, controversial topics, I guess, maybe to certain fans, is like what does LA, meaning the Chargers, what do they do in the draft? And a lot of people were saying, let's go Malik Neighbors. A lot of people were saying, let's go Joe Alt.
Roma Dunze. Yep.
When they lost Mike Williams, when they lost Austin Eckler, and when they lost Keenan Allen, I feel like a lot of people shifted from, they're going to go Joe Alt, and then a lot of people were saying Malik Neighbors or Roma Dunze. They're going to go wide receiver. And then they didn't. They went Joe Alt. So it was surprising, but then later in the draft, they got Ladd McConkey, and we were like, okay, we'll see what happens with that. He's clearly not like, a Malik Neighbors type of guy, but something interesting in the last few days that happened was DJ Chark signed to the Chargers, and now DJ Chark had, let's say, one good season in his career, and it wasn't even 80 catches. It was 73 catches for 1,000 yards and 8 touchdowns, I think.
2019, correct.
But that's still, if you give him 7 more catches, that's a low-end number one receiver right there. 8 touchdowns is solid. And if you give him a good quarterback, I think DJ Chark can be a solid number one, not a top of the league number one wide receiver, but I think he could be a solid number one wide receiver, especially if you give him someone like Justin Herbert. So it's actually really interesting signing because they lost, what was it, like 400 targets or something like that.
Just about, yeah.
On the offseason, and now they've replaced them with Ladd McConkey, who has promise, Brendan Rice, who I feel like might have been could be a steal in how late he went.
He's certainly got the pedigree.
Bloodline pedigree. He was
right?
taught by the best receiver of all time.
Correct.
And now you got DJ Chark, who can probably fill in as a number one guy if you need him to, especially if a guy like Justin Herbert is throwing him open a lot of the time. So you pair that with talent with talent, they're going to probably do some good things. And now they have Joe Alt on top of it, so they didn't even have to skimp out on their offensive line. I think the Chargers are going to have probably a pretty good offense next year.
So I'm going to go the other direction. I don't see this as being a big acquisition. I really see it as being kind of a stopgap, just to put a body out there. 5 years ago was his best season.
Sure.
Now, granted,
I don't think he's had a great quarterback since.
No, yeah, he hasn't. So that's part of my notes. His receiving stats, though, don't even compare to Mike Williams. Mike Williams was a much better receiver. Receptions, yards per catch, touchdowns, much better than DJ Chark over those years, for years that neither one of them was injured. But I thought he could see a nice progression with other average targets, because you got Joshua Palmer and Quentin Johnson there, who neither one of them caught 40 passes
and
last
Quentin
year.
Johnston dropped 40 passes last
Correct.
year.
So, and you got Ladd McConkey, who is a lot of potential right now, but is also a rookie.
So you don't really know.
And rookie receivers, there's always a learning curve. So, so I have you have a stud quarterback slinging the rock. Could he see a progression or an uptick? And I see his ceiling being about 60 catches, 700 yards, maybe 4 touchdowns.
Chark?
Yeah.
I don't agree. I think that his best quarterback he's ever played with was the best quarterback he ever played with was Gardner Minshew. And Gardner Minshew is not Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert is far better than Gardner Minshew.
Oh, without question.
I think Chark is good enough to be a number one wide receiver. That's my opinion on that.
Okay.
You just got to give him because clearly with an average quarterback in Gardner Minshew, who did have a good rookie year when he threw DJ Chark 1,000 yards and 73 catches. Yep. He had a good rookie year, but he's not Justin Herbert. So I think with the uptick, I think his ceiling is more like back to where he was, maybe 80 catches for 1,000 yards and maybe 10 touchdowns.
All right.
We'll see. And I don't think he's really competing a whole lot with the two rookie receivers. I think they'll be good role players for now.
That's my point.
But I think Chark will be better than most people think, in my opinion.
So
even though he hasn't had a lot of good years, he hasn't had a lot of good quarterbacks.
I said uptick to 60 because of the average players that he's competing against for targets.
Fair.
And you're thinking 80. So I'm thinking 60 for 750, and you're thinking 80 for close to 1,000.
Yeah, if he has a good season, he'll have over 1,000 yards. Yeah.
Fair enough.
All right. We're going to do a segment. We're going to bring back a segment that we did a few weeks ago. You're looking up. This is a segment where we're looking up players. Basically it's a YouTube search of specific players. So we got 3 players, and we're gonna talk about what you would be looking up if you were to search for these players. So you're looking up Patrick Mahomes on YouTube. What are you searching for?
Probably what you're searching for.
Probably.
I'll give you one number.
13.
13. Okay. So the first pass was a dump off to Tyreek Hill for 20 yards.
20
okay?
freaking yards.
20
dump
yards.
Off.
So the next was a seam route to Kelsey, and I watched the video, and I was embarrassed for the Bills.
Oh my God.
Kelsey,
so bad.
he released off the line, made one slight juke to the left, ran up the seam, was wide open for 25 yards.
And then went for another 5 yards after the catch.
Oh, no, he went for another 15 after the catch,
gosh.
but there wasn't any defender near him for 5 yards.
Yeah.
It was embarrassing. Granted, you got Tyreek Hill. So I'll triple team Tyreek Hill and I'll triple team Kelsey. You don't bump him off the line. There wasn't a guy even anywhere near him. He ran straight. He didn't even run a route. He ran straight, turned around at 10 yards, caught a ball, and gained another 15 after that. Oh, and by the way, Butker still needed to hit a 48-yarder to tie the game.
And he did.
Just to tie it.
And he did.
So, okay.
And the rest is history.
The rest is history. So I'm going to go on record saying honorable mention.
Yeah.
Do you know where I'm going with the honorable mention for Pat Mahomes?
Honorable mention. No, I don't.
We've already talked about one of the players that he was matched up against. Just
so are you
10 minutes ago.
Why are you looking that up?
I got honorable mention.
Yeah.
Is the 2018 Rams-Chiefs game.
Oh, Rams-Chiefs game. I thought we were going Tom Brady.
No.
I was like, why are we talking about his performance in the Super Bowl?
So,
dude, 54-51
Mahomes.
And you didn't get to watch that game.
I didn't.
I watched that game. It was the best game I've ever seen in my life.
So
and most people would agree.
Honorable mention. If you just watch highlights of that game.
Oh, man.
Pat Mahomes, 478 yards, 6 touchdowns, 3 picks. Ended up being his downfall. Jared Goff, 413-4 with no picks.
Yep.
Game winner right there.
Oh, my
54-51. So that's my honorable mention.
There you go.
Worth watching highlights.
Yep.
Because Mahomes dropped back and somebody was wide open, or he threw somebody wide open almost every play.
Yeah.
It was mind-boggling watching just the highlights of that.
That's like in college when Mahomes played Baker Mayfield and they combined for 13 touchdowns and 1,000 yards.
Oh my gosh.
It's crazy.
Yes. Okay, so yeah, we're both on board with the 13 seconds.
All right, next up. You're looking up Julian Edelman on YouTube. What are you searching for?
Oh, I bet I got the same thing as you got.
Falcons Super Bowl catch.
You got it.
1st and 10 from the Falcons 36-yard line with 2:28 left. And they're down by 8.
Yep.
Brady hucks it over the middle. It gets tipped up in the air. Somehow, three defenders and Edelman all try to dive for the ball, and somehow the ball lands on a defender's foot.
His ankle. Yes.
And Edelman has the concentration to grab the ball, scoop the ball. And
it's an inch off the ground, and he scoops it to himself.
And comes up and says, I caught it. And they're like, what are you talking about? No, I caught it. And that was the beginning of the drive to get them into tying the game and bringing the game to overtime and eventually winning the Super Bowl.
I hate to admit it, but that was, oh my gosh, you got Julio Jones's catch minutes before that. You got Jermaine Kearse's circus catch in the Super Bowl.
You got David Tyree.
Edelman's ranks up there just for
clutch
level of difficulty.
Oh, difficulty and
clutch.
And like if he doesn't make that catch, do they even come close to tying the game?
So it wasn't like
it was 1st and 10.
It wasn't a 4th down.
It was 1st and 10.
So it wasn't as dramatic, but it was a 25-yard game.
They needed that.
And
how do you even do that?
Video. There's 3 guys, just bodies flying everywhere, and it hits the guy's ankle, and you can see on purpose.
Edelman knew.
He tips the ball up so it doesn't hit the ground.
Yep.
As his body is flying sideways and 3 guys are landing on him and under him and over him. That was probably one of the most acrobatic catches
It's
I've
crazy.
ever seen.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm glorifying it.
No, it was amazing.
Watching that sucker, I watched it today for numerous times on YouTube, and I scrolled it back and I watched it again. I watched it in slow-mo. Oh man, the concentration is like second to none.
I know. Yeah.
You know, Julio Jones's catch was amazing for body control, athleticism, but the concentration on Julian Edelman, he saw the ball's bouncing around off of a defender's hand and a body's falling on him. He never lost sight of where the ball was when it's laying on the guy's ankle.
Yep.
Now, I'm watching it in slow motion. I'm like, oh, he can easily tip that to himself.
But then you watch it in real time, and you're like,
and oh, by the way,
he had like a half a second, if that, to
it's
realize
in
the ball was on the ankle.
Super Bowl.
I know.
3 guys climbing on him. I'm sorry.
Not only that, but
amazing.
in the midst of one of the greatest Super Bowl comebacks ever. So he's like, you can't make a mistake.
Yeah.
And he made one of the greatest catches ever to continue their drive.
It was insane.
Yeah, it was nuts.
It was insane.
All right, last one. You're looking up Richard Sherman on YouTube. What are you searching for?
So my initial thought was the tip.
Of course, that's what mine is.
Okay. To seal the 2014 NFC Championship versus the Niners. But my actual search ended up being what followed immediately after that.
You try me with a sorry-ass receiver like Crabtree, that's the result you're going to get.
You're going to get. And he went off on
And then Aaron Andrews goes, who was talking about you? Crabtree.
Her response
She was like, what are you talking about?
This was nothing what I expected.
She was the original dude. What are you talking about? She was like, what the hell's this guy on about right now?
Absolutely. Because nobody knew anything about there was a history with Richard Sherman and Michael Crabtree. Nobody
In fact, Richard Sherman might have invented it by him in his own mind.
He might have invented it.
Yeah.
But Erin Andrews, so cool. She's like, who
was talking about you?
Who's talking about you? And he's like, Michael Crabtree. and I love it. His little sign off at the end, Legion of Boom.
He goes, LOB.
LOB. That's it. He hit us with the LOB.
Yeah.
So that took me by surprise because so heat of the moment, the height of now we're going to the Super Bowl. Richard Sherman, let's face it, he was always a big mouth on and off the field. You never had the question where he stood on any particular topic, right?
Yeah.
He was also and he was not wrong when he said, I'm the best. That season, he was by far the best cornerback in the league.
Yeah.
No doubt about it. But that wasn't what any of us were expecting for him to go after Crabtree.
But
like
it was
that.
gangster as hell.
It was totally like, if he had a freaking pistol, he would have boom, boom, boom.
Yeah, shot the camera.
So yeah, that was was really bizarre.
Freaking Richard
but
Sherman.
Totally awesome.
So funny. But he's so hyped up and like the juices are flowing.
Yeah,
so
always.
It was a great interview.
Like I said, he was always a mouther.
Yeah. All right. That's that for that segment. We're going to move on to a new segment, very similar to last week's segment of the NFC West. This is going to be, how can the NFC West be Super Bowl contenders? So we're going to take the teams that are in the NFC West and we're going to kind of dissect them and see what they need to be Super Bowl contenders.
All right.
So let's start with the 49ers. And I think this one's obvious.
Yep.
They are.
Okay.
I don't think obviously every team could work on their positions at some point, right? Mm-hmm. So if you took the 49ers and you were like, well, if Ray Lewis was their linebacker and, Tom Brady was their quarterback, they would be way better. Yeah, but like being realistic, they are a Super Bowl contender. You don't really need to change anything with their team in order for them to be Super Bowl contenders.
I agree. So my notes are just keep doing what they're doing. It is extremely difficult to maintain excellence year after year unless you're Tom Brady's Patriots or Pat Mahomes' Chiefs. The schedule, though, is harder. Always gets harder when you have a winning record. Everyone is gunning for you, so you're kind of the top dog, and everybody brings their A game to play you.
Yep.
Injuries and ego take their toll, so they have to compensate for some of that. So they actually, in my opinion, they have to actually work harder to maintain where they are.
True.
Okay.
It doesn't take much to be the Panthers, right? Like,
No,
to maintain
that's
being a
right.
bad team, it doesn't take a lot.
Exactly.
But to be excellent, you got a lot of work.
So you have to maintain what you were doing last year and hope everything breaks the same as it did the year before.
True. Yep.
So Brock Purdy, is he still going to keep throwing up Pat Mahomes type numbers?
Yeah, we'll see.
Well, if he doesn't, they're going to lose a couple more games than they did and
True.
maybe not take the number 1 seed. So everybody has to maintain that level of excellence. And you know how hard it is year after year to be able to do that, especially when people are gunning for you.
Yep.
People are ramping up their defense to stop McCaffrey. People they're going to blitz the hell out of Purdy and see if he can make the right decisions again, you know? So that's my thought is they have to work that extra hard just to maintain
the excellence
level of success they had last year, in my opinion.
Fair enough. All right, the Rams. I have an interesting take on the Rams.
I know you do.
How do you know? Oh, because of last week.
Last week, yeah.
So
last week you
personally, I think the Rams are Super Bowl contenders
already.
Okay. I think they lost Aaron Donald, but they did a good job of, or at least what we think is a good job of piecing
on paper,
piecing that defense back together a little bit.
Okay.
I don't think they have too many holes to fill. I think their defense is solid, especially with the additions of Braden Fisk and Jared Verse.
Mm-hmm.
And Stafford is ready to win another Super Bowl because he's on his way out of the NFL in the next few years. He's going to be hungry, and their offense is clearly unbelievable.
Yep.
So I think they're Super Bowl contenders if they can kind of keep up the momentum.
Okay. I agree with you. I have one last ride for Matt Stafford. The Rams go all in. He plays out of his mind. Kupp and Nakua each go for 1,000 yards and double-digit touchdowns. Kyron Williams continues his excellence, and their D overcomes the loss of Aaron Donald with some grade A rookies, right? So that's how I think they get to the Super Bowl. Probably not as much as what a lot of people think, but I think if they go all in and figure this is our year, Niners, we're coming for you, and Stafford balls out,
They have a chance.
I think they got a shot.
Chip, yeah.
I think they got a shot.
Definitely. All right. Home cooking. Seattle Seahawks. What do the Seattle Seahawks need to do to be Super Bowl contenders?
So the coaching staff needs to come in and infuse a new scheme and new life to the team, and they're able to maximize the wealth, in my opinion, the wealth of talent that they have on both sides of the ball, all right, offense and defense. So much like what Dan Campbell did with the Lions, McDonald has to come in and return that defense to a gritty, in-your-face style of play that's aggressive and opportunistic. I watched so many 3rd and 10s be converted because we have no aggression. We're playing off the ball. The scheme was pathetic. I want to see McDonald have these guys get in people's face. Okay. So on offense, if the line stays healthy and improves dramatically, Geno has another Pro Bowl year, and KW3 and Sharbo combined for 1,800 yards rushing and 12 TDs. I think that coaching staff, if the coaching staff comes in and affects the change that I hope they will, I think that they can be a Super Bowl contender.
All right. So I agree with the fact that the coaching staff is, they're obviously new, and we'll have to see what happens. We're not really sure about Ryan Grubb. We have good hopes for McDonald. We'll see what happens there. But if the coaching staff can bring new life to the team, I think they'll have one of the first key components to being a Super Bowl contender.
Agreed.
Linebackers are promising, but also a key component to the defense in terms of leadership and we're not really sure where they are because we just picked up an entire new linebacking core.
True statement.
Unfortunately, I have to say this, but Lockett needs to be replaced in the next few years because he has slowed down and he will continue to slow down. I'm not sure he's clearly not the same receiver as he was.
I think he has one.
He might have one more decent year.
I think our new offensive coordinator resurrects his career for 1 or 1.5 more seasons.
All right.
Eventually, he's going to hand the baton to JSN.
I see.
You know
him,
that's coming
yes,
in, right?
Yes.
And if they keep DK and they don't trade him, he's clearly the number one on Seattle.
Yeah.
DK Metcalf.
Yes.
And Lockett eventually is going to hand the baton over to JSN.
Yeah. So after watching him last year, I'm thinking this is the transition year. I think JSN becomes the new Lockett this year.
Okay.
And Lockett takes a step back and he's their third option, and because he's lost a step and he's a year older. But we'll see how it goes because who knows? Maybe he has some fire under his ass this year because his new coaching staff. We'll see what happens. And the last thing, I love Geno Smith. I think it's been really fun watching him. I don't think he's a Super Bowl caliber quarterback.
I
Unfortunately.
agree, but I can't say that Howell is either. So
we can't say that Howell is, but I have hopes that Howell could be. I can't say he's any better or worse than Geno Smith because we don't really have any. We don't have any examples other than last year where he threw 21 picks.
Yep.
Had a promising,
almost
4,000 season.
21 touchdowns.
Yeah, he had
in a season where not a lot of quarterbacks threw for 4,000 yards.
And on the worst team in the league. Arguably.
And with one of the worst coaching staffs.
Yes. So quarterbacks got to upgrade. Linebackers have to come to fruition, and Lockett needs to be replaced in the next few years. And coaching staff has to clearly do their jobs like we hope they will.
I agree.
But there is quite a bit of work in order to be a Super Bowl contender. Maybe we win a playoff game, but outside of that, I don't see us going to the Super Bowl if we even
in the near future.
All right, last up. What do the Arizona Cardinals, need to do in order to be Super Bowl contenders?
I have 2 words. One's a contraction, so 2.5 words. They can't.
All right. Fair enough. Moving on. No. So I have some notes. Do you have any notes on it or?
No, but I know what I'm talking about. And so I think their offense is going to be fairly good.
I agree.
I think their offense.
Kyler Murray injuries withstanding, obviously.
Of course. And you just described every quarterback.
True.
In the league.
Other than when Carson Wentz, got injured and Nick Foles won the Super Bowl.
True. But who could have ever predicted
Nobody.
that, right? So I think their defense is really that needs to be really overhauled, number one. But I think what stands in their way more than anything, they have 3 legitimate playoff teams in front of them in their own division.
That's one of the main points that I made in my notes, which is they could go 500 or above 500 and still miss the playoffs because of the division they're in.
Absolutely. I mean, so the Niners and the Rams, we are both predicting them to be really, really studly.
Yeah.
And so we could go 4-13 next year because the coaching staff comes in and fails miserably, right?
Sure.
It has happened.
But the Cardinals are almost more of like they're probably not going to be good at all.
Yeah.
Compared to the Seahawks, where it's like, well, we'll have to see.
I think we as a team have a lot more talent on our roster.
Yes.
Whether the coaching staff pans out is another, but just pound for pound, if we put our team on the field against your team, I'm going to pick my team to win. I'm going to pick the Seahawks to win. I don't think so the Cardinals had a pretty good draft. Let's face it.
I was going to say they actually did a decent job of revamping their defense a little bit.
Sure.
But those are guys you got to hope are going to be good. You can't just assume that they're studs because a lot of them were 2nd round, 3rd round picks.
Right. But they also picked up Marvin Harrison Jr., who
but that's offensive.
Could
we
be
knew that
a
was
franchise changer, though.
True. Offensively, they might be pretty good.
Yeah, you might be winning games, 35-31 kind of.
Sure.
So I think they're gonna be better than they were last year. I just don't. I don't even see them competing for a playoff spot. If they do, it'll be because there was a lot of injuries around the rest of our division.
Yeah, fair enough.
That's
fair
what
enough.
I'm thinking.
Yeah, that's a really tough division. It might be one of the best divisions in the NFL.
Yeah, and I think it should have been last year. I think we should have won at least 1 or 2 more games.
Yeah.
Had 3 teams in the playoffs.
Yeah, you're right. All right, moving on. We're gonna do a fun segment that could be a recurring segment every week. Apparently, this is called "Where Did He Go to College?" So
Put me on the spot.
Yep.
I'm always getting nervous about this because I have no idea who the heck you're going to ask me about.
So where did he go to college? NFL edition.
All right.
All right. First up, Marshall Falk. Ooh, coming out with a tough one already.
Either Fresno State or Arizona State. Arizona State.
0 for 1. Damn, already. At
No,
the
San
gate.
Diego State.
You
It was
got
San Diego.
it.
Son of a bitch.
You got it.
It was
I'll
San
give it to
Diego
you.
State.
I'll give it to you
Oh,
because I didn't give you the answer.
I knew it was one of those left coast state schools.
I'll give it to you because you were
San Diego State.
you were confident when you said San Diego State, and I did not give you the answer. So I'm giving you. I'll give it to you
I'll
because
take it.
going back on it. All right, another running back, Frank Gore.
I want to say Miami. I'm going to say Miami. Motherless Bumpus.
So Frank Gore went to Southern Miss.
Southern Miss.
Yep, and I'm just going to confirm for you, Frank Gore.
Would not have gotten
College.
that one. That's a good question. Would not have gotten that one.
He might have transferred. I think you might be right, actually.
No.
He might have transferred because you said what?
I said Miami.
University of Miami?
Yeah.
You were right. I think he transferred. Whatever I got was potentially a transfer. So let me just go back.
No
College.
way. Did I steal that one?
I think you stole that, and I don't know where the frick I got Southern Miss from.
It might have started there, but that's
It maybe started. No, it just says Miami in on Wikipedia. So I might have done again. This is tough because whenever you Google it, it gives you a bunch of different stuff sometimes.
Oh, you got to get a good NFL site.
I know, I got to get a good
Pro
NFL
Football
site.
Reference
All
or
right,
something.
so you're 2 for 2 then.
Two controversial calls.
I fricked up. All right, this one you might either know it right off the bat or you don't know it at all.
God.
Jason Myers,
Our kicker?
our kicker. We've talked about this before too.
Son of a gun. I don't think I'm going to remember this
All
one.
right, I'm going to have to give you a little hint. He's a local. He is a Hudson Valley local.
He went to Marist?
He went to Marist.
I can't take credit for that one, though. You had to give me the hint.
I
Son
gave
of
you
a
the
gun,
hint.
Marist.
That's one of my favorite NFL facts.
Dang.
Is that Jason Myers freaking went to Marist? That's such an awesome.
Do you want to know where
They're a D3 school, aren't they?
I don't
or D2.
I don't know because I didn't play there. However, I did get an IT. I did get an IT certificate from them.
Oh, interesting.
I went 2 years to Marist College.
Damn.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Damn.
All right, moving on. So we'll say you're 3 for 3.
No, we'll say we're 2 for 3.
2 for 3. All right, 2 for 3. Ray Lewis.
Miami. I know that's Miami.
Yep, that is Miami.
Yeah, he's the U.
All right. Where did Brett Favre go to college?
He went. It's not my final answer, but I want to say Southern Mississippi. It's going to be my final answer.
Southern Miss. Yep.
Southern Miss.
Southern Miss. This one you definitely know. Tyler Lockett.
K-State.
Yep. Kansas State.
Yeah.
And last one, Rob Gronkowski.
No, I don't know this one.
You don't know this one.
I don't
He
know
was a
Gronk.
first round pick.
I don't know Gronk.
Oh, no.
Wait, okay. Let me think about this. Tight end U. Oh, there's no way he went to Ohio State. No way. There's no way he went to Florida State either.
No, I think Aaron Hernandez went to Florida State now.
He went to Florida.
Florida.
He played with
He played with Tebow.
Tebow
And Cam Newton. Am I right about that or wrong about that?
Cam Newton was Auburn.
Auburn. Okay.
That doesn't count though, because you didn't ask Cam Newton. You asked
No.
Gronkowski.
Where did Rob Gronkowski go to college?
I hear the Jeopardy tune playing in my head.
I know.
Son of a gun. Oh, I'm trying to drag it out of the dark recesses of my brain. Michigan.
Nope.
Son of a bitch. Where did he go?
If he went to Michigan, I feel like Tom Brady would love him even more.
You're right.
Rob Gronkowski went to the University of Arizona.
Fudge. Oh, you got me good on that one.
All right, so we'll say 5 for 7.
Oh, you got me good.
5 for 7.
Son of a gun. Yeah, and a couple were contested.
They were contested, but one of them was my fault.
Damn.
Marshall Faulk, you actually got. So,
but I already gave my answer.
That's
I had
true.
to backtrack.
you had to backtrack. But yeah, so we'll say 5 for 7.
Damn.
Not quite as good as the last week, but still pretty impressive.
But you're starting to dig down now.
Well,
I like it.
That's true.
I like it.
I'll make them a little easier next week.
Don't you dare.
All right. Let's move on to our last segment
All right.
of the episode, mini games. How many do you have for me?
So I got 2 trivia questions and a 2 truths and a lie.
All right, I'll start with mine. I have 1 trivia question. That's it.
Okay.
Can you name the only team who has ever played in an NFC and AFC championship game?
I can.
Can you?
Yeah, because we lost to the damn Raiders, I think, in 81. It was Seahawks.
Yep.
Yeah.
Also, one of the only teams ever to be in the AFC and the NFC. So,
Yep.
there you go.
We lost to the damn Raiders.
Damn.
We beat Dan Marino the game before. I remember watching both games. I had my package of cookies in my lap, and we came back and beat Miami, Dan Marino, and then we got smoked by the Raiders in the championship
That
game.
was a common theme, if I remember correctly. That's part of the reason you were a Seahawks fan at all is because you hated the Raiders.
Yes, and back in like 79 and 80, they'd win like 3 games and one of them would be against the Raiders. And
There you go.
I hated the Raiders. Yes, Seahawks. All right, so I have a couple trivias. We'll start with
Do a trivia, a 2 truths and a lie, and then a trivia.
Gotcha.
Sandwich them.
All right. So, can you name the only undrafted quarterback to win a Super Bowl, be named MVP, and Super Bowl MVP?
Kurt Warner.
Yeah. gave you the layup on that one.
That was an easy one because
Yeah.
I don't think I know of another undrafted quarterback that was as good as Kurt Warner.
Definitely not. So, an interesting side note, the lowest drafted quarterback to win a Super Bowl.
Ooh,
You'll never get
never
him.
get it. I mean, Brady was pretty low, but not.
Yeah, so check this out. It doesn't even exist anymore.
Oh man.
So Brad Johnson, who won it with the Bucks, was a 9th round draft pick
oh my
in
gosh.
2009.
He won it. With
No, I'm sorry.
Sorry.
Yeah, 2001. My bad.
When did the Bucks win it? Before Brady.
2002.
So he must have been drafted in.
He was drafted in 2002.
Did he win?
I think they
Super Bowl?
won it in 2003 or 4, something like that.
But not with he
won
was the
Super Bowl with
starting
Bucks.
quarterback to
Correct.
win. Oh
Yep.
wow, interesting.
Yep, they beat the Raiders.
And who coached that team?
Gruden.
I thought it was Gruden.
I am Gruden.
Yes, and then he was terrible with the Raiders for some reason.
Yeah. Okay, so 2 truths and a lie.
NFL edition.
Yeah, NFL edition. All right, so the first one. LaDainian Tomlinson holds the record for most yards from scrimmage in a season. The second is Jerry Rice is not in the top 40 all-time in scoring. And the third one. In 2019, Lamar Jackson had as many rushing yards as the Miami Dolphins.
That's probably true. I'm gonna say I'm pretty sure I know that LT holds the record for scrimmage yards because he was psycho. I kind of all 3 of these are kind of difficult because I could see Jerry Rice being outside the top 40 just because I might be wrong about this, but I don't think he was like a huge touchdown guy throughout his career. And Lamar Jackson running for more yards than an entire organization is hilarious, but also probably true. And in 2019, I think their starting running back was Williams. Was it Damian Williams or Damian something? I don't think they had a good starting running back in 2019. I'm going to go, or maybe it was Kenyon Drake. I'm going to go with Jerry Rice being the not in the top 40 in scoring.
So this was, in a way, a trick question because
A lot of the people in the top 40 in scoring are kickers.
you got it.
There you go.
He's number 43 in scoring.
And I also
42 of the people in front of him are kickers.
wow.
Yeah.
So he is basically the number one scoring
He scored the
player
most
of all time.
touchdowns of all time.
Really?
Yep.
So I was wrong in believing that he wasn't a big touchdown
He was.
guy.
Yeah, he
So
was-
it was double digits like every year?
Yeah.
Okay. For
So-
some reason in my head, he was like lots of yards, lots of catches, but not a ton of
That's Julio
touchdowns.
Jones.
That's true. That is true.
So LaDainian Tomlinson does not hold the record for most yards from scrimmage in a season. Chris Johnson in 2009, when he ran for 2,000 yards, also caught for another 500 yards.
Oh.
Yeah. So
Wait, so is that the lie?
that's the lie.
That's the lie.
So Chris Johnson, out of any of the running backs that ran for 2,000 yards, also had the most receiving yards on top of that. So he had almost 2,600 yards from scrimmage.
And do you remember who ran for the Dolphins in 2019? Was it Kenyon Drake? I think it was.
It might have been.
But yeah, I don't think they did much.
So there was only like 40 yards separating Lamar Jackson from the Jets that year. Wow. So he had 1,210 yards or something, and they had like 1,250 as a team.
Oh, wow.
So he actually
Jeez.
did run for more than the whole Dolphins organization.
My God.
Yeah. All right. So the last one, this is a little bit, you have to follow me on this. You might
All
have
right,
to
so
ask
listen
the question.
closely.
Yeah. So for passing yards in a Super Bowl game, 2 players hold 5 of the 6 best games ever.
2 players.
2 players hold 5 of the 6 best games ever.
I already know the answer.
Can you name them?
Nick Foles and Tom Brady.
You'd be right on one and wrong on the other.
So Tom Brady, I know because he holds one of the best games ever,
Mm-hmm.
which is 500 and freaking whatever.
505 only got to throw for 500 in a Super Bowl.
Yes, 500 against Nick Foles.
Yep.
And lost. And then so it's probably so they hold 6 of the 7.
They hold 5 of the 6.
They hold 5 of the 6.
So I'll
it's,
give you. I'll
it's
give you a
Tom
hint.
Brady with 1.
Tom Brady has 2.
2, and then the
this
other guy
other
has
player has 3. Wow. Of the next 6 games.
So they have to have gone to the Super Bowl at least 3 times.
Yep.
It's not Pat Mahomes.
It's not, surprisingly.
So who has gone to the Super Bowl at least 3 times? So not Ben Roethlisberger, not Aaron Rodgers, not. Is it Joe Montana?
It is not.
Is it who the hell? What's his name?
So we just talked about him about
A few
10
podcasts
minutes ago.
Oh, 10 minutes ago.
Mhm.
Who the hell did we just talk about? I said it wasn't Pat Mahomes.
Nope.
So, it was in the where did he go to college?
No, but we talked about him in Where Did We Go to College outside of the podcast.
Who the hell did we talk about? I have the worst memory of all time.
He shares a name with a running back from the Seahawks.
He went to 3 Super Bowls. So
Right.
2 with the Rams and 1 with the Cardinals.
Yeah.
I was gonna say Kurt Warner, but then I was like, he only went to 2 Super
Yeah,
Bowls.
he went against
No,
New
he
England.
lost against.
He lost against. He
lost against New England.
Then he beat
won,
Tennessee.
He won against. No, I think it was flipped.
He beat the
He beat
Titans.
Tennessee, then he lost against.
Then he
New
lost to
England.
New England?
Then he lost to the Steelers.
Correct.
Damn.
Yeah, and so Brady
So
has
also,
the top 2, and then
Yes,
Kurt
and
Warner,
Warner has
has
the
like
other.
2, 3, and 6, and your boy BD Foles
yeah, Foles
has
has the
number
number 5.
5. Yeah,
Yeah, I was getting so Foles makes sense because he had like 471 yards and 4 touchdowns or something like that.
They almost threw for 1,000 yards in the Super Bowl, right?
Yeah. And fun fact about Kurt Warner, the only 3 years he ever played a full 16 games, he went to the Super Bowl.
That doesn't surprise me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Makes sense because he was a freaking beast. And if he could stay on the field, he could do damage.
Man, he was a lot like Tom Brady in the fact that he had zero mobility, but man, he put up some great seasons.
Yeah. As an undrafted guy who played in the Arena League.
Yeah, and was bagging groceries when he got the call.
Yeah.
That's like amazing. So
yeah, 1-time Super Bowl winner, 3-time, went to the Super Bowl 3 times.
Yeah.
Was like definitely the best undrafted quarterback of all time, in my opinion.
Yeah, and certainly one of the better quarterbacks of all time. I mean,
in general,
put him in the top 20, I would say. Maybe not 15,
maybe 20, 30, yeah, something like that.
Yeah, he was good.
Yeah.
But
all right.
Anyway,
that does it for this episode. Hope you guys enjoyed. This was actually a fun episode.
It was good. I knew I was going to have fun with this one.
Yeah, it was good. It was good. So remember,
except I sucked on the college. Damn.
The college. I made it too hard.
No.
Jason Myers. How are you going to know Jason Myers other than
known.
from a conversation we had like 6 years ago? All right. Well, that's going to do it for this one. So
that's a wrap.
Tommy Touchdowns and
Razorback Jack
signing off. We'll see you next time. Peace. Thanks for listening to the Read Option Podcast, hosted by Tommy Touchdowns and Razorback Jack, produced by me, Tommy Touchdowns. Remember to follow us on all our socials, including Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube, at the Read Option Pod.